Well, welcome to my shop here. I'm Earl. This is Earl's Small Segment Shop. Boy, it's been cold for a couple of weeks. It's really cold today. It's weather we're not supposed to be having here in North Carolina. I guarantee you that. And it's taken a while to heat the shop up. What I'm going to be doing today, I'm making another one of my small segment turnings. And I want to show, of course, again, just how really easy it is to make an open segment turning nowadays. And to do it, of course, I'll be using Chef Ware Kits jig here to line them up. It's well-made, American-made jig, and it works so good. It makes it absolutely easy. Anybody can make open segments now, no excuse. And of course, I'll be using one of his index wheels. Now this is an old index wheel here. Just in fact, I won't be using this one. I already got the one I'm using on it, but it's same diameters, it's just got more indexes. But this is very thick steel, very thick gauge steel, good quality, perfect holes in it, of course. And his new ones, you can do a lot of indexes with his new ones. But like I said, I've got the one I'm going to be using mounted on a lathe, on the back of my lathe, and I'm going to be using a jig, and it just makes it so ridiculously easy. It's pathetic. So what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to be making a bowl, open segment, about 8 inches in diameter. I got a floating bottom already built. Now, as I've said before in many videos, if you don't know what a floating bottom is, don't know why I use a floating bottom, and it is important on anything over 6 inches to use a floating bottom. And of course on 6 inches and under you can still use a floating bottom. So I got a floating bottom built, and it's made out of maple, light colored wood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a light base, and I'm going to put a thin, not a real thin layer of segments, open segments on it. It'll act as a trim ring, believe it or not. Open segments that are thin look just like a trim ring, even though they're. And I've got some material I've used before. Now this is cut. I measured it's 0.09 thickness. It's perfect. I'm going to plan on using, because I want to use this, I plan on using Wenge just on the ring above the bottom, and on the ring right before the top. Of course, I have a solid ring on the top. And then in the middle, I'm going to use Purple Heart. And it's the same thickness. And then, the rest of the segments are going to be 1/2 inch high. And I want some light colored segments. I'm going to use 4 different materials. I'm going to use 20 segments per ring, so that'll be 5 of each all the way around. And I want 4 materials that are light colored, or fairly light, but distinctive, so you can't mix them up. So what I've got here, of course, is maple. And I've got some mystery wood. It comes from China. Come in on some packing somewhere. Somebody picked it up. It's enough different in color so you can tell it's different wood. And I got some sycamore. We're going to use sycamore. And Anglum pedra. That's the 4 I want to use. And I've got it drawn out here. And because these segments here are so thin, I didn't bother drawing them separate. I just made this, instead of 0.5 inches high, I made it 0.6 inches high on the drawing. And I'll just make them the same length. That'll be okay. It'll work out. So I got the drawing here. This is from the center out. The base is going to be 7-inch, and then I got these so I can measure these all the way up, and then I'll put the top on. And like I said, it's going to be kind of barrel shaped a little bit. So I got those made, and I'm going to have to measure this first ring and see how big I want to cut them. And for the very first ring, I'm going to use Wingate. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, using my drawing, measuring from the center out to the edge of the first row of segments, I get the radius, so I double that and I get 7.5-inch diameter ring. Get my cheat sheet here. 7.5-inch, 20 segments per ring. I got to cut it at 6.3 degrees, and I got a cut length of 0.8315. 0.832 is good enough. So I'll set this up for 0.832. I'll set up my saw and cut some segments. There we go. Set this up, and then I'm going to cut the first row with this thin Wingate. I need 20 of them. Okay, I've got 20 pieces of this very thin Wingate cut. They got to be at least 5/8 wide for this curve to go through. That I figured them in with the 1/2-inch piece. Just figured them together. These are much wider than that. Much wider. Don't make any difference as long as they're not smaller. They can be bigger. Of course, this distance, the cut distance has to be right. The cut distance right here has to be right. But the width, if it's longer, no problem. It'll just get turned off. So, I'm ready to glue these on. Gluing platform is set up. Index wheel set on the red index. I'm using the 120 ring, using every third hole. One red, one blue, one red, one blue, so I'll get 20 red ones and 20 blue ones. Now, I've got a new camera I just got. I went into trade it the other day, and they had a older model Nikon in there. Used, it lists as $799 used. They had it for $129. Like I say, used $799 without a lens. This one had a lens on it, about a $200 lens used price. And I figured, well, it don't work at that price, so I take a chance and buy it and see what I get. Well, when I bought it, he come out and he said, well, it's got a case that goes with it, and the case had a TTL flash in it, had another lens in it, $200 lens, had a whole bunch of filters, had a bunch of other stuff in it. So I took it home, and of course I tried it and it didn't work. And I looked at it. Battery had a battery in it, but it didn't have a memory card. I put a memory card in it. Takes beautiful picture. Didn't even need to charge a battery. Come with a battery charger. The lens is absolutely clear. Both lenses. I ended up with about $1,400 worth of stuff for $129. Anyway, I'm going to use it in the shop from time to time to take some close-up pictures. So I'm going to get a close-up picture of this over on the setup, like a, get a picture of it just like I'm going to glue it on. Okay, the floating bottom, I've got a flat spot right here at the edge. Got my segments cut. Got the stop block set up. Got the gluing platform set up. Got it set on the red index. Now I took a couple of still shots and I hope I can work them in to the video. We'll see. Using tight bound quick and thick. A light layer of glue. Just a light layer. Not much at all. Not much glue at all. I'm going to glue it on for 5 seconds. Now I'm putting it right over one of the joints on this ring here, on this closed segment ring. I'm going to hold it for 5 seconds. That's it. 5 seconds, no more. Go to the next red index. Let's glue one more on. That one ain't going nowhere. Again, a very light. Wow, I put way too much on this one. Way too much. Oh well. I do that a lot. Put it on here, get it lined up. Yeah. Neat lined up. 5 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and glue all the rest of them on. Same way. I've got the 20 thin segments glued on. Well, they're drying. I'll cut the next 20. These are going to be the 1/2 inch high segments for 4 different woods. Now these woods are different widths, which is going to be the width of the segments when I'm done. This one here is a little wider than the rest, so I'm going to, after I cut them, I'll cut all their widths down the same. They don't have to be, but it makes it easier to turn the inside. So I'm going to cut 20. It's going to be 5 at each of these woods. I'm going to cut them the same length as those. Like I said, I just made one length for each, one dark and one light, one dark, one light. Make them all, cut them all the same length, be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 20 segments out of these. I got 20 segments cut, these lighter colored woods. Got them lined up like I want to glue them on, the sequence I want. Maple, anglum, just Chinese mystery wood, and then sycamore. Again, maple, anglum, Chinese mystery, sycamore. 5 sets of them. That'll take me 20 rings around. So they're ready to go. I got to sand the segments I got glued on yet. It ain't been 20 minutes yet, but it's been long enough. I'm going to go ahead and sand them. Glue's set now. They ain't going to come off. Okay, it hasn't quite been 20 minutes yet, but I don't care. I'm going to go ahead, chalk these. Got to sand them flat, even though they're small as they are. It's still got to be sanded flat for the next row to go on. If you want to glue them on in 5 seconds, you need good joints. The only way to get good joints is make sure they're flat. Because I guarantee they're not perfectly flat right now. Let's give them some sanding. Okay, that got them. I'm ready to glue on the next row now. Ready to glue the second row on. The difference being, we're using a blue index, which means these sit right over the gap on the first row. And these are glued on in a sequence. Sequence I got them lined up in. Other than that, a light coat of glue, very light coat of glue. Hold it for 5 seconds. Then go to the next blue index and let's glue the anglum on. First one, of course, was the maple. Same sequence I got them lined up in. Glue the anglum on. This here jig from Chef Workits and the index wheel sure makes it easy to do open segments now. Go to the next blue index. I'm going to go ahead and glue the whole ring on. The second rings are on. Now, I made the very bottom thin ring with wingay. I made the 1/2 inch rings from 4 woods. Now the next thin ring, and all the middle thin rings, I'm going to use Purple Heart. And then of course the top thin ring, again I'll use wingay. But so, the next set of rings on this is 8 inch. 8 inch is going to be 0.8869. So I have this set for 0.8869. I'm going to go set my saw up, and I'm going to cut 20 Purple Heart rings. I've got 20 thin purple segments cut, ready to glue on. It's been almost 15 minutes and I've already sanded the segments same way I did the small ones. Sanded them off till all the chalk's gone. Make sure they're perfectly flat on top. So now I'm going to be ready to go ahead and glue these small purple segments on. Got to set up the red index again, same as the wingay. Got the stop block set, 4 inches. That's 4 inches from center. Give me 8 inch diameter ring. Got the close enough to hold these, but not quite touching it. Put a little glue on one of these. Always put too much glue. I don't know why I do that, but I always do. Always put too much. I guess it's easy enough to do. Put it in place. Hold it for 5 seconds. Let's go on to the next one. Do the same thing. Not quite so much glue on this one. Easy as that. I'm going to put on the rest of the ring. The thin Purple Heart ring glued on. I've got it sanded. I've already sanded it. Got the next ring of 1/2 inch pieces cut. Got them lined up. Of course, they're 8-inch diameter ring again. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these on just like the other ring. And then I'll be cutting another Purple Heart ring after that. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue this 1/2-inch ring on. Same. The 1/2-inch pieces are on, 1/2 inch tall. So I've got a thin row, 1/2 inch, thin row, 1/2 inch. Now the next thin row and the next 2 1/2-inch rows, actually the next 2 thin rows and 2 1/2-inch rows are all 8.5-inch diameter. So 8.5-inch diameter, 0.942. So I'm going to go ahead, set up my table saw for 0.942 and cut 20 Purple Heart pieces for the next row. After I get them on, then I'm going to start turning the inside a little bit. It's been almost 15 minutes since I glued the 1/2-inch pieces on. I've got them sanded already. Got the thin Purple Heart cut, 8.5-inch ring. I'm going to go ahead and just glue these on, same as the others, using the red index. Just glue this ring on, like I said, same as the others. And after this one gets glued on, like I said, I'm going to go in and start turning the inside. Purple Heart's glued on. It's been about, maybe 12, 13 minutes. I've sanded them off. Now, I'm going to go in and start turning the inside, turn the bottom into the first couple of rows, the thin row and the 1/2-inch row. I don't want to go too far up. And I'm going to use my Olin tool. I know, you say, why an Olin tool? When I first started turning, people told me, well, you have to buy a set of these tools. You got to get a roughing gouge, a bowl gouge, a spindle gouge, a skill. And then you got to get this expensive sharpening system. And the way they told it to me didn't sit right with me, so I did some research and found an Olin tool. I figured, well, if this bit works for steel, it should work for wood. I made a set of Olin tools. I found out they cut right well. I've been using them. Even though people tell me, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, I've been using them. Then later they come out with carbide tools, so I made a set of carbide tools, and they cut pretty good, but on a square shaft they're a bit aggressive. So I made a set on a round shaft, and they cut good. They cut great. They're good tools. Of course, people with the classic tools say, well, they're not real turning tools either. But people use them. They're good turning tools. I got a whole set of carbide tools. There's one I bought, and they work great. But they don't work any better than my Olin tool. And the Olin tool's a lot easier to use. So I'm going to continue using them, and they work perfect. put another 2 rows on, I'm going to turn some more. That was quick and easy. Got that purple row on. I turned the inside, turned the bottom right in across the small wenge strips and then into the first 1/2 inch row, just starting into the 1/2 inch row. After I glue a couple more on, I'll bring the turning up a little bit further on the inside. Turning on the inside as I work out, I find it a whole lot easier than going in later and doing it. Okay, I got this next row ready to go on, next row of 1/2 inch segments. And it, again, it's going to be 8.5 inch. Fact is, it's going to be 8.5 inch, and there's going to be a row of Purple Heart 8.5 inch, and then there's going to be another row of these 8.5 inch. And then we're going to go back down again on the last row. So, these are ready to go on, but it's time to eat supper. So, I'm going to go ahead and go and eat supper. Can't work too long in the shop during this weather. It's just too cold. It takes too long to heat the shop up. Time I get the shop heated up, there's no time left. So, when I get the shop heated up tomorrow, we're going to glue on this row, and then I'll make another set of Purple Heart and glue it on too. I've got the 3rd ring of 1/2 inch segments on. Then I've got the thin ring of Purple Heart on it. I got it sanded. So now I'm ready to go in and turn the inside up a little bit further. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I got the next ring of 1/2 inch cut, so after I turn the inside, I'll put on a couple more rings. Okay, I'm ready to turn the inside some more, turn it up another row of the 1/2 inch segments. That's got it. The 4th row of the 1/2 inch segments has been put on. Now I got to put on the thin Purple Heart. But this is where it's starting to curve back in, the barrel's starting to come back in. So the last 1/2 inch row, and this Purple Heart that goes before it, I'm going to make 8 inch. And 8 inch open segments, 20.886. I've already got 20 Purple Heart segments cut for 8 inch. Already got them sanded. I'm going to set my stop block up, and I'm going to go ahead and glue them on. I got the last row of the thin Purple Heart ring on. 8 inch ring. Like I said, it's coming back down again now. I've got the last row of the 1/2 inch high segments. Again, 8 inch. I got them cut. I'm going to put them on. I got it sanded. Got some inside turned. So I'm going to glue this on. After I get this glued on, then I need another ring of wenge, thin wenge. And then I'll need of course, the solid top ring. So right now I'm going to go ahead and glue this last 1/2 inch tall open segment ring on. The last 1/2 inch ring's on. Now I got to put thin Wenge ring, and it's getting smaller. I want the thin Wenge ring about the same diameter as the top solid ring. And let's see here. It's going to be about, actually, it says about 8 inches too. Just about 7 3/4 inch. 7 3/4 inch would be about right for it. 7 3/4 inch. 0.859, 0.86. I'm going to cut 20 segments of wing a 0.86 inch cutting. I've got the last row of 1/2 inch high segments on, sanded, turned the insides on. Now I got Wenge, thin Wenge pieces cut for the last thin row. Thin row's going on over the top of the last open segment ring and just below the solid top ring, just like a trim ring. So I got it set up for 7 3/4 inch diameter. Got the stop block set. Got it all set up. I'm ready to glue these on. After I get these glued on, next thing will be to make a solid maple ring for the top. The turning's ready for the top solid ring. Now, according to my drawing, I'm needing a 7.75 inch ring, 7 3/4 inch. So 7 3/4 inch closed segment, going to be cut at an angle of 9 degrees. It's going to be 1.227 inches cut length, 1.23. So I set up my table saw and I cut 20 segments. Excuse me. Something in my throat. I cut 20 segments of maple, dry clamped them. I sanded them just a wee bit, dry clamped them. Naturally, I'm using a rope clamp. Nobody uses band clamps anymore. That's ancient technology. And checked them for tightness, and I did adjust the angle on one just a little bit, just a very small amount, using the disc sander. I explain that in other videos. So now I'm ready to glue it up. I got a 7 3/4 inch ring ready to be glued up. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it up, let it set for 15 minutes. Well, it's been just over 15 minutes since I glued it. So I put it in the coal jaws, turned it flat and sanded it flat. Now I could have put it through the disc sander, yeah, or the drum sander, yes. Other ways I could have flattened it, but I like this way. It gets it perfectly flat. So now, what I'm going to do, I got it in the coal jaws, I'm going to use my live center that goes in my tailstock. It's a live center, it spins. I'm going to put this in the tailstock, and I'm going to bring it up and glue it on to the top of the turning. Very simple. Put a light layer of glue on it. I'm going to bring it up. And I want to make sure that the joints here land right on top of an open segment. So I'm going to go over to the lathe and we'll do that. Okay, I'm going to put on a very light layer of glue. At least I hope I am. It's going to be too much anyway. After about 5 minutes I'll probably spin it and sling out the excessive glue. Yeah, way too much glue. Yeah. Yeah. I always do that, but too much. I guess better too much than too little. Yeah. Clean off my glue spreader. Put this in a tailstock. Bring it up. And make sure the joints on a close segment go right over the top of an open segment. There we go. Flop her down. Check the time, about a little over 5 minutes probably. I'll spin it and sling out the excessive glue. Been 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead. I know the squeeze out's still wet, but I'm going to go ahead and finish turning the inside now. I've got the inside turned now. I made a quick shot turning the top down here. I turned the top down a little bit then, match the segments. I did a quick shot so you can see how good the Olin tool actually turns. The inside's pretty smooth. The Olin tool turned it smooth. I got it smooth. So I'm going to sound it with 220. Can't sound it too much because of the difference in the hardness of the woods. If I sound it too much, the softer woods will sound away and leave the harder woods standing up. So I'm going to make a couple of passes with 220. That's all I'm going to do on the inside. It's pretty smooth now. That's it. That's about all I'm going to do. It's nice and smooth now. I'm going to put a light coat of shellac on the inside. I'll put more than one coat, but first I'm going to don't put it heavy and slop it in. Just a light coat. Make sure I cover all the area in there. Get everything covered. Okay, I'll let that dry for a couple of minutes. I'll put in another coat. The inside's been turned. Time to go ahead and turn the outside. I'm just going ahead, take the outside Olin tool and turn the outside here real quick. Finish turning it pretty smooth, just like the inside. I'm going to make a couple of quick passes with the sandpaper. That's it. Okay, now I'm going to put some finish on the outside, same as the inside. Oh, nice. I've got to take the bottom off. Got it on with paper. Floating bottom put on with brown paper, so I got to get it off. Where's my tool? Where is my tool? Here's my tool. Got an edge on it, not a sharp edge, just an edge. put this right, there's a good spot, right where the paper is. A bit tricky to get it started sometimes. Yeah, don't want to start there. I'd have to get the hammer. Gonna have to get the hammer. That's more reasonable. Move it over a little bit. It'll start tearing in a minute. There it goes. There it goes. Now, I got to reverse it and turn the bottom. In order to reverse it and turn the bottom, I'm going to use cold jaws with tapered rubber pins. They won't scar it up, and they'll hold it. Be tapered pins from the inside, because it curves in. I'm going on the inside. If it curved out, I'd go on the outside. So I'm going to put this on the chuck, reverse it, get ready to turn the bottom. The bottom, just take a minute, turn the bottom, sand it, put a little finish on it. Just take a minute to do it. Oh, there it is, finished. Kind of a different design. Thin dark woods, then 1/2 inch lighter woods, 4 different kinds all the way around. Floating bottom, and you can see how really, really easy it is using the chefware kits, jig, and index wheel. So anybody now can do open segments. Of course, you don't have to just do this design. That's just another design I want to do. I've been taking still pictures, and I'm going to insert them in the video here and there. And I would like your comments, good, bad, otherwise, don't do it no more, do it more, whatever. And I really appreciate you watching my videos, and I hope you learned something at least. And come back and watch my next video. I think my next video I'm going to do something a little bit different. I need to do a video on how to make a sanding disc for the lathe. It's real easy, simple. And I need to do a video on making an Olin tool. An Olin tool, in my opinion, is the most reasonable thing there is to turn with. So, thank you, and come back and watch my next video.